Things that take up space in my brain, part 17. So I was going to tell a different story, and I actually started recording it like 3 times, and I just was like, you know what? I don't want to tell that story today, so that's not going to be the story that I'm going to tell. But I'm going to tell a story that's a bit of a sad story. On November 11th of 2010, no, it would have been 2011. I found out that one of my really good friends had passed away. And I was actually at work, and the lady that told me was she was trying to be kind to another employee who I also knew, and he was currently dating said friend. We had all worked together actually at the same place. That's how I had known him from, my dad taught him baseball, and so I'd known him forever, and she and I met while we were working at this place, and then he worked there later, and so that's kind of how we all came to be, and then he wound up working at the same place as me in a different town. So anyways, all that to say, she had passed away, coming to visit him, which I know was really tough on him. And so he had a really hard time, and he called out to work when he found out. And he was actually, I believe, the first person to find out. And anyways, getting sidetracked with a different story. But so he had called out, and one of the cooks said, "Hey, Stephanie, like, I want you to know so-and-so's girlfriend died. So, like, over the next couple of days, just be, extra nice to him when you see him, and, da 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 da." And I was like, huh? And she's like, yeah, his girlfriend died, da 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 da. And I was like, Sarah? And she's like, yeah, I think that was her name. And she said it, and my brain was still processing it. And when it hit me hard. And I had just gotten into that shift. And it's 2022, so this was like 11 years ago, and I still remember, like, vividly everything. And I had just started my shift. I'd been working maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and I didn't know that I would react the way that I reacted. I thought when I saw that on TV, it was just gross overreacting. Who's ever going to react that way when they find out somebody dies? Me. I'm the type that will scream and collapse to the floor and be inconsolable for like 2 hours. That was me. And so thankfully my boss kind of helped me around to the back, and I was losing it, and I sat there forever, and I was just sobbing, and it was a rough day. And the part of this story that comes into that is I had just started my shift. I had been sat like 1 or 2 tables, and so I had just started, and there were 2 parts to this that to this day stick with me and kind of upset me. The one table that I remember having, finally, after like 45, 50 minutes, I finally collected myself enough. My boss came back. She said, Stephanie, I didn't tell you because I wanted to, wait until you weren't busy, and you had a moment so that I could tell you. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that. But, and the lady that told me, she was so apologetic. She came out, she apologized to me like a million times. I was like, dude, like, it was going to be hard anyway that I found out. But anyways, I go back out to this table, and, they were sitting with a different table. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. I just found out really bad news. I apologize. I didn't check on you at all. Are you guys good? Do you need anything else? And they were like, no, we're okay. And it really bugged me, and it's such a stupid thing to be upset about because they got bad service. I don't know who checked on them. I'm sure my manager made sure that they were checked on. And at one point they like ask like somebody, is she okay? And my boss was kind of like, she found out that one of her best friends died, so she's not okay right now. And they left me a really crappy tip, which I am the type of person that I'm like, if I give you lousy service, I deserve a lousy tip. Like, It doesn't bug me if I was lousy and I got a lousy tip. Sometimes it sucks when you give really good service and they leave you a lousy tip and you're like, I'm sorry that that's the way that you felt, but they saw something lousy that I didn't see, whatever. But anyways, that was a really rough one because I'm like, are you serious? You just heard that I found out that one of my best friends died, and I know that my manager made sure that you guys were at least taken care of. Maybe not to the standard that it should have been. And so that just always stuck with me, that it's one of those where it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, that was a little, like, and it's such a stupid thing to be upset about because it's like, it was nothing to do with my friend dying or anything like that. But I remember the day just being like, how can you find out that someone's friend just died and then give them a lousy tip? Like, that's the day to be generous and be like, here's $10 on, you know, a $20 ticket. I'm so sorry. You know, here's at least a 10% tip, because back then that was what I worked for. You know, nowadays it's apparently 20% is what you're supposed to tip, but back then it was 10%, and it wasn't even 10%. And so it was just one of those where it was like, it was just rough. But then the other part of that day that was extremely rough was my manager would not let me leave until I could find someone to cover my shift. So I had to find someone to cover my shift, and then I had to wait for them to get there. And I was completely useless. Like, I was in tears, and then I'd kind of try to pull myself together, and then I'd be in tears. And anybody that knows me knows I am an extremely emotional person. I cry all the stinking time, and she would not let me leave until there was someone else to cover my shift. Even when I found the person and they're like, I'll be there in like 4 or 5 minutes, she would not let me leave until they were through that door, clocked in, all of my stuff was taken care of. Like, I was just like, are you absolutely serious right now? Because really? So yeah, that was really tough. And definitely those are things that take up space in my brain to this day, as if, you know, that day wasn't hard enough, because that was a really hard day, just period, end of story. Those were two things that just kind of added to that day that just really made it worse at that moment. But again, you know, what are you going to do? It's in the past. Everybody did what they thought was correct that day, and it is what it is. But yeah, that was definitely really tough. So that's things that take up space in my brain, part 16. And I have a question. I do not have, and I want to make this very clear, the best singing voice. My mom and my sister think otherwise. They think I have the voice of an angel. Maybe I did when I was taking singing lessons, but since then, with my asthma and just a lot of other things that have happened, you know, my voice is definitely not the best. It used to be a lot better. But I'm debating actually posting a song on here, be totally a cappella, so no music or anything to go along with it, of my favorite song, my song that is gets me through any season in my life, especially those down seasons, which I have a lot of those, because for those of you who don't know, I struggle with depression, really, 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 really bad dark depression. So yeah, I was thinking about posting that, but maybe I'll just post the lyrics. I don't know. I haven't decided. Let me know what y'all think. I'm sure my mom's gonna comment on mine on Facebook and go, yes, yes. That was so not what she's gonna say, nor what she would actually sound like. But anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful day. Remember that life is way too short not to share your stories, and love you. Bye.